Hello, 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 and welcome back to Mythkeepers. We are your hosts. I am Zach, and joining me as always, he's got some paint in his taint. It is my boy Scotty fucking Westside.
You said
Let's
you
go.
didn't have an intro and you were sitting on he's got some paint in his taint.
I just thought of that.
How dare you?
Off the top, man. Off the
that's
top.
too good. Zach is like, Zach, I know you're on your game when you're coming up with fight in an empty room, or what was that thing?
Fighting for an empty room.
Fighting for an empty room and paint in the taint. Buckle up, folks. Zachy boy's on one today. He's fucking on
Hell
his game.
yeah. We're back, man. We're back, and we're talking ACOMAF, and it's gonna get a little emotional, maybe a little hot and steamy, maybe actually a lot hot and steamy,
maybe a lot hot and steamy.
maybe like no sleep, only hot and steamy. It's gonna be a good time, man.
True, absolutely true.
I think before we hop in here, though, we've got a couple of very quick thank yous that we want to give.
Yeah. I got it if you want me to do it.
I was trying to pull it up, but if you got it,
I'll do it. These are our patrons. We love them. We shout them out every episode because they're our favorite people in the world. This is Hannah, Sarah, Kristen, Emma, Andrea, Terrence, Jenna, Chaz, Allie, Jen, Nathan, Jordan, Dom, Nico, Sydney, and Shannon. Very special shout out, very special thank you to them. If you are interested in supporting what we do here, go check us out on patreon.com/mythkeepers. Or hey, if you can't do that, just listening, spreading the word about the pod absolutely helps us as well, and we appreciate you
spreading the word about your Lord and flavors.
Your Lord and flavors. Hey, also another quick little shout out. I noticed when I got on Patreon the other day, they've got a new feature where you can gift a membership. All I'm saying is the holidays are coming up.
That might be a thing. That might be a thing.
Maybe old Mythkeepers Patreon would be a hell of a gift.
What do they get? What do they get when they join the Patreon?
Oh boy, they get to hear Zachy boy bust out bangers like "Fight for an Empty Room," and we listened to some old favorite music of Zach and Scott today. We played a cheeky draft game where Scott definitely won on the best things for fall.
Don't think that's true.
And you know what, Zach? I was actually thinking, no, you know what? I'm going to keep that in the noodle. There's something I want to run past you. Maybe some.
You're going to keep it in the pipe, huh?
I'm going to keep it in the pipe. A slight tease for the idea of maybe some upcoming Patreon content, but I'll keep that one in the pipe. Soon, hopefully soon, we will be releasing the third. So hopefully we'll get to it sometime soon. The third Fantastic Beasts movie. We need to get on that as well, because I feel like I will laugh a lot at that.
Yeah, it's a good time over there. But again, like Scott said, if you can't support on the Patreon, that is totally cool. We appreciate you guys being here and present and locked in with us now, and listening and sharing and telling your friends and family, and especially your grandmas. We hear the grandmas are a big fan of the Mythkeepers podcast.
They love us. Definitely. That's what grandma wants for Christmas, is a Mythkeepers Patreon subscription. Every grandma on planet Earth. Hell yeah.
We're back, though. We're talking chapters 52 through 56. And
we're almost done with this book, Zach.
We are almost done with this book.
Only two more episodes after this one.
I will have you know that everywhere that I go on TikTok, every fucking turn I make, I see and hear book content creators talking about chapter 54 of this book.
Oh,
I've never, and I immediately scroll because I don't want spoilers. But
now you know.
I knew that 54 was a thing. That 54 had a lot to give.
Oh, 54 isn't the fucking chapter. Okay.
54 is not the fucking chapter.
I had to go down and check. I was like, are they talking about the fucking or the drama? Because
they're
talking about the drama.
Yeah, like a lot of people are like, oh man, the romance in 54. And like, hey, listen, I like the fucking stuff, but you know me, Scott. Like, Like, the romance gets me, brother. The
You
romance makes me so emotional, and I'm just gonna tell you right now, I was a little emotional reading some of that stuff in 54.
I'll give it up. The very end of 54, I think I'm talking about the right chapter. The very end of 54 might have brought a smile to my cold, dead heart a little bit, By the way, can we direct quote you on the Zach saying, "I like the fucking stuff"?
Hey, I like the fucking stuff.
I like the fucking stuff.
Yeah, add that to the soundboard.
Was there any other, before we jump in, this is chapters 52 through 56, was there any other housekeeping we need to get to?
Other than wanting to say off the Patreon segment, thank you all for your patience on the week delay on the episode. We love and appreciate you guys. We just had a couple of life things going on that kept us from getting a chance to record. So again, thank you for your patience, but we're back and we're doing the thing and we're trying to get through this book and series. So,
hell yeah.
Let's do the thing, Scott.
Let's do the thing. Where we last left off, we had the big reveal, the revelation. Feyre found out that she was in fact Australian. No, sorry. She was in fact Rhys's mate. And she's kind of freaking out about it. Kind of jumped off the deep end. I gave her a little
upsetty spaghetti.
A little upsetty spaghetti. I gave her a little bit of a shit for her overreaction. To her credit, I feel like she course corrects relatively quickly.
5 days.
But yeah, she asked Moore to take her somewhere secluded where she could be alone, then told Moore to fuck off, and she's at this like cabin on top of a mountain, and that's where we ended basically. Which was the end of that part. That was part 2, and now we're into chapter 3 or part 3, excuse me. The House of Mist.
The House of Mist.
I don't know if this cabin is said House of Mist. I feel like it's not. I feel like that's still forthcoming, but I could be wrong.
I don't know.
Yeah, me neither. But with the way this chapter starts is kind of Feyre just grappling with things.
Yes. And I had the thought during this chapter, Scott, that during the first book, all we wanted were more characters and more characters to like interact with. And in this book, because of how excellent Feyre's growth has gone, I have actually found myself enjoying some of the chapters where she's like internalizing and like working through stuff by herself.
Sure.
I know we've said this several times, but Feyre is a good main character, man. I think that she's fun to follow.
True. Accurate. I will also say I enjoy her, I think, much more in this book than the first book as well.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And I liked her in the first book. I thought, she had like that spunk, that pizzazz, that quick wit that I enjoy. But I feel like her introspective ability is very good, and I enjoy it. And that's like I said, like I alluded to a minute ago. She, I gave her some shit last episode about how I feel like you're overreacting here a bit, Feyre. And, to her credit, she kind of recognizes that and comes to terms with it relatively quickly. She's thinking about what it would have been like if she had known that Rhys was her mate while she was in love with Tamlin.
Yes.
Which is a very interesting thought exercise, but there is this moment here where she already, like, this is the start of this chapter, where she basically is like, I understood why he wouldn't have told me because I was in love with Tamlin.
Yes.
She's like, it doesn't excuse him not telling me, but I kind of understand it.
Yes.
So I was like, wow, that was quick. That was fast for her.
She also kind of questions the foundations of their relationship.
Right.
Like how it started. She does admit that she is relieved that her relationship with Tamlin was kind of just doomed from the start.
Yeah.
Because she is mates with someone else.
Which is interesting because I feel like she didn't spend a ton of time questioning the foundation of her and Tamlin's relationship. Maybe I'm just forgetting. But
yeah,
that was very much built on lies.
Yes, and I think that, like, I mean, some of the beginning of this book, we see a little bit of that, but it's really more. I think that the trauma from the end of the last trial, the third trial, is really what like kind of overshadowed that. But yeah.
Oh, there's a quote here that I have to call out.
Okay.
Feyre says, "Mor and Amren had known. I couldn't decide if I hated them for it." And I thought, Feyre, if you decide you hate Mor and Amren, I decide I hate you. That's not, that won't fly. That won't fly around these parts. We are Mor and Amren stands around here. We will not stand for any slander against those two.
Yep. So anyway, what I really liked about this chapter is that she moves through these stages, albeit she does go through stuff a little bit fast here, and I think it's just because it needs to get there for the sake of the book. But the stages that she goes through, I think, are very realistic.
Sure,
you know, she goes through like she's already been upset, she's wanting to run away from it, she's processing now, she's coming to the realization that like she can understand why, but she's still upset and hurt by it. And then she starts to move past that even and say, well, that all might be true, but like at the end of the day, like we are mates.
Right.
And what does this mean? You know, like what is our, so I love that she really, I like that she was questioning the foundations. Like,
right.
Was this intentional? Was he giving me space? Was he allowing me to like come to my own decisions? Was he just trying to blah, 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 blah. Right. And I feel like she moves through it like in a very realistic manner. All things that like somebody who has experienced being manipulated, I think are like valid for them to work through that stuff in that way. Just, yeah, I really liked it. I
feel like what you said about how it seems like she's kind of moving through this very quickly, I think that totally fits and works for her character, because that's kind of how she's always
She's
been.
A decision maker.
She's a decision maker. She's always had to adapt. She's always had to like, you know, kind of work through these things. And I think the way she runs through this is totally in line with her character. I like how she has the thought of how she ran away precisely how Rhys expected her to run. She told him how I told him anyone in their right mind would run from him back when she was pissed at him. I think when they were texting, didn't she say something along the lines of like, yeah, if this is how you treat people, people would run away from you. I can't remember when it was, but she did tell him that basically. Also, she realizes that she had left him injured in the freezing mud. I'd walked away from him a day after I'd told him he was the only thing I'd never walk away from.
Yes.
I demanded honesty, and at the first true test, I hadn't even let him give it to me. I hadn't granted him the consideration of hearing him out.
The humility, dude.
Yes.
It's, like, is this not just so likable in a character?
This is very, like I said, one of the things I love most about Feyre is, like you said, the humility, the introspection, the ability to look at oneself and realize, oh, hey, yeah, why did I do that? Was dumb.
Yes.
That ain't cool. I shouldn't have done that. That is a phenomenal quality, like in anyone.
Yes.
She says, maybe I refused to see what was right in front of me. I'd walked away, and maybe I shouldn't have. And she realizes, again, I gave her, you know, a decent amount of shit last episode. And again, fully to her credit, she realizes that she made a rash decision in like half a day.
Yes.
And then I was like, well, let's see how long it takes her to like actually act on this.
Mm-hmm.
Because I feel like this made me think about like my own stubbornness a little bit, where it's like, I will have an argument with someone. I'll have an argument with you. I'll get pissed at you and like say some stupid shit. And like an hour later, I'll be like, that was dumb. We were arguing about nothing. That was really fucking stupid. But
you won't fucking text me,
but
you
I won't.
bitch.
No, exactly. And it's a combination of stubbornness, A, for sure, and B,
Uh-huh.
just like, well, how do I broach this? Do I just like text him and be like, hey, I was dumb. That was a stupid argument. We should have done that. But also, I don't text anyone, so that feels weird. It's just like one of those things where it's like, her doing this made me think about this in my own life, where I'm like, I should just like text people immediately and being like, hey man, my bad. That was fucking stupid. I'm an idiot. So maybe I probably will forget this in a day, but maybe I can get some personal growth from this.
This has been therapy with Scotty
therapy.
Westside.
Unlikely, but maybe. I can dream. I can hope and dream. Maybe just remind me of this, because I need reminding of things.
Isn't there a good line in this book about to the people who look up at the stars and dream?
So is that you? You're looking up at the stars and
no,
dreaming
that's you.
of me?
You just said I can dream.
Oh, I gotcha. I thought you were gonna look up at the stars and dream of me apologizing to you.
I mean, that would get me off, if I'm being honest.
That would be a wild.
That
would be a wild thing.
Anyway, so she is, after a couple days, she's like, all right, boredom has hit me. And she is snooping through everything, and she finds paint.
She is a little snooper, isn't she?
She is a snooper pooper, and she finds some taint.
Yeah.
She finds some
taint paint. You know where that paint's going.
Dude, branded on the side, dude. Taint paint.
Good old taint paint.
Well,
by the way, a hilarious bit of this is that apparently there's weapons hidden everywhere. These fucking Illyrians. I just thought that was funny.
It's very like Zorro-esque.
Sure.
Yeah. So she finds this paint, and she is inspired and begins painting.
Mm-hmm.
And she starts
has
painting
not done forever,
and she starts painting everything.
Yeah.
She's painting on basically every fucking surface. And then there's a knock on the front door.
Dun, 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 dun.
And it is Front Moore. And she shows up, and Moore's like, holy shit, you painted everything. And I really like that Moore, like, I like Moore's interaction. God, I just love Moore. I like her interaction here. She is just like kind of enamored, like, oh, you painted everybody.
Yeah. She's like, hey, those are Amren's eyes. That's really creepy.
Yeah.
Just like staring out of the darkness.
We learned that the paint belonged to Amren, so hell yeah, Amren.
That's great.
Amren just out of the blue wanted to teach herself how to paint.
And then got bored with it like after a day. So great.
And you might have more of this conversation. That's fine if you do. But one thing that stood out to me about Moore being there is Moore is the constant giver of good, honest advice.
Yes.
And she says, like, listen, man, like, he's flawed. Like, we have to give him some grace because his instincts are usually right, but he does make mistakes. But just hear him out. Like, just, like, you don't have to do anything more than that. Just hear him out, have a conversation.
Dude, Morgan is a fucking rock. She's like the rock of this group. Like, Rhys is
truly
a fucking mess most of the time. Feyre's definitely a mess, a hot mess at a lot of times. Morgan, we don't get a lot of like her, what she's going through. And I'm sure, she's got her own shit going on. Like, we get a little bit here where she talks about going and visiting her family at the night court.
Yeah.
But like you said, she's kind of always the one that's there to offer just the really good sound advice.
Mm-hmm.
And just like be that constant, that just presence. Like, when Feyre just needs someone, just needs a friend, just needs a shoulder to lean on or an ear, to kind of vent her problems to. Moore's just there, and she's willing to do it. And I love her to death for it.
Okay, so if you can picture, like, she's there in all the right, like, emotionally and mentally healthy ways.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, if you can picture, like, a lot of both men and women have that friend that is just like the hype friend.
Sure.
Right. That they'll confide, like, obviously from our perspective, like, it'll be like, like a hype friend for like our, for your girlfriend or whatever, or wife, where like you feel that like you feel like they're there just to like side with the person.
Oh, sure. To
and
gas
just
you
like
up?
yeah, and just be like, yeah, fuck that person or fuck them, that, you know, they don't
Sure.
deserve you, or like, you know, like that type of
Right.
which like there are spaces where like you might need to hear that.
Sure.
But also there are like, I guess what I'm getting at is like being a boy's boy or being a girl's girl, I don't think is inherently healthy. I don't think that's like,
I was going to say, I don't like that.
It's
I
a
think
terrible
that's bad.
thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really bad.
I think that's awful.
And I think that just like being a good like person is what's more important than that, because like those people will not be the ones to tell you like, hey man, like you might need to like slow down and maybe like hear them out.
Hear
or
them
slow
out.
down.
Look at this from a different perspective.
Right,
See
right.
the
And that's
angles.
just such a good friend.
Yes.
Because you know that Morgan would be the one to call you out on your bullshit also.
Yeah.
And I just love that, dude. That like that's the reason I love Morgan. She's so grounded in like how to navigate like the shit that they're going through.
Yeah.
And on the flip side, right? Like, because I'm not just saying like not gas Feyre up. On the flip side, Feyre said, I need to leave and I need to get out of her, out of here. And Morgan said, okay,
right,
I got you. And like immediately was like, I'm going to help you because I know that it's something that is going to be like the right thing for you.
For
right?
sure.
And give you space. And like, she's on her side, you know, for all intents and purposes.
Right.
There.
I'm glad you talked about the space thing too, because we talked about this when we first met Morgan, when Feyre was first going to the night court. It was like Morgan was there for her, but also gave her like space when she needed it too. And now she's doing, you know, here doing the same thing too, which is equally important. A little bit about, I did want to talk about this Morgan thing.
The more and as stuff?
No, that in a second.
Oh, okay.
Well, first she talks about, I think Feyre asked her, like, is your father healing? And Morgan is like, slowly, I might have snapped some more bones when I visited, but my mother has since banished me from their private quarters. Such a shame. Cheeky Morgan. And then Feyre asks her, Rhys makes you do this often. Endure visiting them. And Morgan tells her that Rhys gave her permission the day he became High Lord to kill them all whenever I pleased. I attend these meetings, go to the Court of Nightmares to remind them of that sometimes and to keep communication between our two courts flowing, however strained it might be. If I were to march in there tomorrow and slaughter my parents, he wouldn't blink, perhaps be inconvenienced by it, but he would be pleased. And I just don't love this situation with the Night Court. I just think like there has to be a better solution than what is happening here. And I appreciate that it's Morgan's family and that makes it complicated. But like, her dad is a piece of shit. And it sounds like her mom too, considering.
Yes.
Like that dude should be, if only there were like a prison or something where he could be, you know, locked away for all eternity. Wouldn't that be nice? Or yeah, executed for his fucking crimes. I don't know. Like, again, I know it's complicated because it's her parents, but this just, the Court of Nightmares situation, just, I don't love it. It just makes me.
I think that that's fair, but I think that's also like a point of like, contention and like this, like in the morals of like where these characters are at.
For
like,
sure. And I hope that becomes a plot point, and that it is addressed. That it's not just, I've got this Court of Nightmares thing in the background going on. Because
I hate to break it to you. I have a feeling that like Rhys making the decisions to like protect Valaris, I think that is addressing it.
That's his facade to the world is, this Court of Nightmares, I'm a bad person. Ooh.
Right. And I have a feel, I mean, I could be totally missing here and there could be way more to it and then you'd be very happy, but I have a feeling that that's not really the point of this, and that the reader's just supposed to be like, okay, that's why he allows the Court of Nightmares to be shitty. Okay.
I think you're right, and that's why I'm calling it out. That I don't like that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking past it because I like so much other stuff in this book, so
fair enough.
I don't really care.
All right, you want to talk about the Morgan and Asriel stuff?
Yeah, very quickly here. So we learned that Mor and Az have actually never been together. And Feyre does kind of like notice like Morgan seems a little off discussing this.
Yeah, she kind of keeps pushing her. She's like, "Well, but would you though?"
Yeah, and she asks him like if he wanted to, and she was like, basically, I'm paraphrasing here, but basically, Azriel thinks too lowly of himself.
Yes, very low self-image, self-esteem.
And I think it's like a status thing. Like Morgan is, I mean, basically royalty, and he thinks that he's just this, shitbag, whatever.
This is literally that song from Forever Ago. She's so high,
yes,
high above me.
That's
Azriel to Morgan.
Quite literally, yes. Yeah, he just doesn't think he's good enough.
Which is sad, but
it is very sad.
Yeah.
And Feyre asks Morgan, okay, but if he wanted to, would you? And Morgan just like kind of gets a little huffy and just straight up deflects.
Yeah, she does.
So yeah, I'm very confused. I really thought that they had something, like in the past.
This seems right. This all checks out for me. I'm like, this
Does
makes
it?
sense.
Okay.
Like Azriel just thinking that she's this untouchable goddess and he's not worthy of her. I think this totally but also like, and Morgan like barely even considering it as a possibility. Like you said, she gets a little huffy and flustered when Feyre presses her on it, because I feel like it's something that she's not even considered, because A, they're just like, that's her friend, that's her close friend Azriel, and B, it's like, yeah, Azriel would never, she knows Azriel would not, feels that way, that he's not worthy of her, so he would never even, attempt anything. But maybe this will get her to thinking,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. I like both Morgan and Azriel, so that'd be cool.
For sure.
Anyway, this chapter ends with it's very sweet how she is just like that it wouldn't be bad to be a part of their family.
Right. More just basically straight up ask her like, hey, would it be so bad to be his mate and tangled up in our crazy family? And Feyre's like, no, it wouldn't.
No.
This fucking girl.
Yeah. It's very good. I liked it because Morgan is just so sweet, such a good friend, and pushes in the right areas and also gives space in the right areas.
For sure.
Yeah. Short and sweet, but it was a good chapter.
Chapter 53 is one of those chapters that's pointless. Just doesn't need to be a chapter break here. But I do respect, because this has happened several times now, I respect the dedication to the bit on Sarah J. Maas's part of her being like, no, I have to get to 69 chapters, though. Like, it has to be 69 chapters.
Yeah.
You don't understand. That's very important. I respect the dedication to the bit, so I will allow this pointless chapter break.
Morgan stays the night, and she paints some stick figures. I loved that. Morgan fucking rolls.
That would be me. My ass can't paint.
I loved this. Okay, look, I'm gonna just forewarn you and our listeners that I'm gonna get real sappy in the next, like over the next chapter, because I eat this shit up, man. Like I am. If you're an astrology girly, I'm a Cancer. If you're not an astrology person, I am just a fucking bitch, I guess.
True, actually.
Yeah.
You know what? You being such a sucker sap for this lovey stuff just makes me so much more pissed at you for not, like, going further in Kaguya-sama. Like, I'm just so mad at you for that.
It's because this is just like such heavy love, and I'm
but I tried to explain to you
Kaguya-sama is just such a joke to me.
It is. It's very comedy focused at the beginning, but that's because you didn't give it enough time to get to the heavy stuff, you dirty dirty bitch.
Yeah, and they're just also not nearly as hot as these two,
Oh
and they're
my
also
God,
high school students.
I can't stand you.
So that's fucking weird too.
Actually cannot stand you. It's fine for them to be in love as high school students.
Yeah, but I'm not like romanticizing their relationship because they're high school students.
I hate you so much.
But yeah,
So,
man.
Feyre is imagining a life with Rhys now at this point.
It's so sweet.
And
I
she's
loved
like,
it.
maybe I'll teach painting to other broken people like me. And I'm like, oh God damn it.
Dude, can I tell you? It was in this moment that I was like, I would be in love with Feyre.
Yeah.
Like actually. Yeah. Oh yes. Like actually though. Like
no,
Morgan's
Morgan
hot
or
as
nothing
fuck
for me.
and yes, and like she has a lot of great like good going for her, but like the way that Feyre loves is so it for me. Like I am so into it.
Okay, that's fair enough.
It's so sweet and so wholesome. And like her envisioning this life and like getting there to like just like picturing this like life and like hopefulness is just so heart-wrenching to me. I love it.
I don't know about the wholesome bit. Rhys seems to be under the impression that she is a dirty, dirty girl, and she seems intent on proving it also.
Well, I mean, is that not the dream, brother? Is that not the dream?
It's true. Listen, I like Feyre a lot. I think a lot of this is very touching and sweet. But yeah, it's Morgan or nothing for me. Which probably means it's nothing.
It's nothing, dude. Okay, anyway, the last night...
she's like, this is a future. As she's imagining this future, she's like, yeah, this is the future that I want. And I'm willing to fight and die for it. I'm like, okay, hell yeah, that seems pretty conclusive. Let's go. She's made her decision. Let's go. But then she spends 5 more days painting. And I'm just kind of a little bit like, well, if you made this decision, shouldn't you act on this decision that you have made?
Well, Morgan's coming back every day.
Right.
But
Morgan is not her hubby.
No, I know. I
hubby.
think that like she's made the decision, but I think that she's still like
processing.
Yeah. I think this is fine. I don't think there's an issue with that. Anyway, on the last day though, so Morgan had been coming back and bringing supplies and food and stuff like that. And on the last night, there's a knock on the door and she thinks that it's Morgan, except it's not. And it's Rhys. And that's where chapter 54 begins.
Mm-hmm.
And
it would have been really awkward if Moore showed up like an hour later, by the way.
That would have been super weird. And I did this thing where I was taking notes and then I was like, this is too much that I have to like copy. So like I have my book and I was highlighting stuff because
hell yeah. Zachy highlights. We call them Zachy highlights for a reason.
Yeah, so I may read some of the highlighted stuff. Man, there's
a lot of backstory. This is like the backstory chapter for sure.
This is where everything like clicks.
Yeah,
like
all
everything,
the cards are out on the table.
Yeah, and this is the chapter that makes you go, oh,
right,
that's sweet. Like he's been there all along, or that type of thing.
For
and sure. I am a fucking sucker for that shit. So
no, it's mostly good stuff. So chapter 54 starts with Feyre. Feyre is thinking that maybe Rhys feels the way Asriel does. Like he doesn't deserve Feyre. Like Asriel feels that he doesn't deserve Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
And Rhys comes into the cabin and he's like, hey, you painted everyone and their eyes, just specifically their eyes. He's like, where the fuck are my eyes, though?
What about my eyes?
Yeah. And it's just like, that's how this whole thing breaks, is like, hey, you didn't fucking paint my eyes. And I think that's pretty great. I think that's hilarious.
It is pretty good. But I like her inner monologue here, or inner dialogue here. He asks him, what about my eyes? And she says in her head, I swallowed. All right, then. No dancing around it. Like, we're fucking doing this.
No more games, no more banter, is what she also says.
Yes. My heart was pounding so wildly, I knew he could hear it. And she tells him I was afraid to paint them. And he just looks, again, I love the like directness here, that it's not flirty. Rhys faced me fully. Why? And then she says your line, no more games, no more banter. And she says, at first because I was so mad at you for not telling me. Then because I was worried I'd like them too much and find that you didn't feel the same. Then because I was scared that if I painted them, I'd start wishing that you were here so much that I'd just stare at them all day. And it seemed like a pathetic way to spend my time.
Listen, when she says no more games, no more banter, she means that shit.
She fucking
puts all her cards on the table.
Dude.
This is a full send from Feyre. Which I gotta respect. Gotta respect the full send.
Yeah, I'm not like, if I had it my way, I would just read this whole chapter, and that's not going to happen. So we can jump around a little
probably
bit.
Probably not. So we find out he flew here. He didn't winnow because it's too dangerous apparently to use his powers. It took him like 3 days to fly here or something like that. He deduced it. Morn did not sell her out. He kind of figured out there are only so many places Morgan would take her. He's all healed up. He says thanks to her. And then there's this bit about the food, which is very important for the ending of this chapter.
Very important for the end of this chapter.
Apparently offering your mate food is very important in fairy culture.
At the beginning of like establishing, hey, we are mated.
Also, I love how she's like, bitch, I can't cook. I am warming soup, all right? Like, just cool your jets a little bit.
She says, you must be hungry. I'll heat something up. Rhys straightened. You'd make me food? Heat, I said. I can't cook.
I love that. Again, all her cards on the table. I cannot cook.
It didn't seem to make a difference, but whatever it was, the act of offering him food, I dumped some cold soup into a pan and lit the burner. I don't know the rules, I said, my back to him. So you need to explain them to me. And he explains, it's an important moment when a female offers her mate food. It goes back to whatever beast we were a long time ago, but it still matters. The first time matters. Some mated pairs will make an occasion of it, throwing a party just so the female can formally offer her mate food. That's usually done amongst the wealthy, but it means that the female accepts the bond. And then I love this is what I love here. I stared into the soup. Tell me the story. Tell me everything. And he understood my offer. Tell me while I cooked, and I'd decide at the end whether or not to offer him that food. And then he starts.
So the stakes are set. Very good job setting the stakes here. Do you want me to? I can kind of summarize the first. I feel like the first part of this story before it gets into like the really good stuff.
Yeah, you're good.
If you want to jump in and like have direct quotes, that's fine. But basically, during the war, he was captured and tortured by Amarantha. She did not give a shit about him. She thought he was just some High Lord's son. All she cared about was getting revenge on Jurian for killing her Clithia. That's what it was, right? Clithia.
Yes.
He is plotting to break free and kill her. He's like, I will kill her, die trying. But on the day before he's getting ready to do that, that is when her and Jurian square off. They fight. He's all like, oh no, Jurian is going to take my vengeance from me. No worries, mate, because Amarantha absolutely destroys Jurian and starts taking him apart piece by piece, day by day. In fact, she was so focused on torturing him that she didn't detect Rhys's father's arrival. He is moving in, apparently. And in the panic, she killed Jurian rather than see him liberated, and she runs away. Rhys's. Do you remember Rhys's father's name? Did we even get his name?
I do not recall.
I
No.
don't remember if we've ever gotten it. Rhys's father rescues him, but he's like pissed at him. He told Azriel to leave the ash spikes in my wings as punishment for getting caught. That's pretty fucked. I was so injured that the healers informed me if I tried to fly before my wings healed, I'd never fly again. So he was forced to return home to recover while the final battles were waged. They made the treaty. They built the wall. And basically, Cassian and Azriel like go with him to the cabin, and they just kind of, he's healing, they're keeping him company while the treaty and everything that happens afterwards kind of comes down. We were here when the messages arrived about the final terms of the treaty. They stayed with me when I roared to the stars that Amarantha, for all she had done, for every crime committed, would go unpunished. The king of Highburn would go unpunished. Too much of killing had occurred to either side for everyone to be brought to justice. Even my father gave me an order to let it go, to build toward a future of coexistence. But I never forgave what Amarantha had done to my warriors, and I never forgot it either. Tamlin's father was her friend, and when my father slaughtered him, I was so damn smug that perhaps she'd feel an inkling of what I'd felt when she murdered my soldiers. And then there's this whole masquerade ball when Amarantha comes back, and he planned on killing her there. He was like, I don't even care if this starts a war. I'm going to kill her. Because also I don't trust her. He's like, not even Tamlin trusts her, and Tamlin knows her.
Yeah.
I fucking hate Tamlin. But if he doesn't,
I fucking hate that guy.
fucking hate that bitch, by the way. But if he mistrusts her, I definitely know something is up. But she had apparently been trained against mental powers and had thick mental shields. So while focusing on getting through her mental shields, this dumbass just drinks her magic toast that steals his powers. And I still love how committed to hand waving this Sarah J. Maas is. It's just like the whole Amarantha stealing and sealing their powers bit is just like, don't worry about it. Move on.
Don't ask about it.
Don't ask questions. Yeah. Everyone is ass drank. Just everyone that like Amarantha raised toast and everyone drank. It's fine. Move on. Which is very, very funny to me. Did you have anything?
Not on that. Not on that.
Okay.
I mean, other than, I think you're getting to it. Like once he's actually in Amarantha's service,
right? Well, yeah, that's where
I'll let you get there.
Okay, yeah. The last thing I have here before that is basically as he feels his powers being ripped away by the spell that she put on it, the toast. I flung them out one last time, wiping Valeris, the wards, all that was good from the minds of the Court of Nightmares. The only ones I'd allowed to come with me, I threw the shield around Valeris, bringing it to my friends so that they had to remain or risk that protection collapsing, and used the last dregs to tell them, mind to mind, what was happening to stay away. Within a few seconds, my power belonged wholly to Amarantha. So basically, this is like the last gasp of his power. He uses it to shield his friends and Valeris. And wipe the memory of it from everyone. So then here you go. Now he's actually in the service of Amarantha.
Yeah, my only note for him being in the service of Amarantha is that he just subtly flexing at how good he fucks the whole time.
Yes.
Like the whole time he's just like, yeah, I'm just so good at it that like like that was my thing, dude. I just really knew how to make her fucking orgasm.
Yeah.
The whole time.
Because he starts with like, I knew with her it wasn't about me so much as it was about getting revenge at my father's ghost. He's like, but then actually I made it about me. I made her beg and scream and use my lingering powers to make it so good for her that she wanted more, craved more. Meanwhile, this is literally Feyre's inner dialogue. I gripped the counter to keep from sliding to the ground.
Dude.
She is She is literally weak in the knees from him talking about how good he fucks.
Yeah. Doesn't he
Just
say something about
amazing.
like while my tongue was inside her or something? Like while I was inside
Probably,
her at some point.
yeah.
It's wild that you're saying that.
Whenever I was inside her, I'd think about killing her. Yes, that's very romantic.
Yes. Yeah. But hey, man, she said, "Tell me everything," and he did.
Hey,
so
no, true.
Can't be mad at him.
No, she is not allowed, and she doesn't.
Yeah, so I don't really have too much about like when they're together. I just have the only stuff I highlighted was
this is
romance.
where it starts to get good into your romance stuff. Like, so basically, like, all this terrible things, like him being in the clutches of Amarantha, awful shit for him.
Yes.
And he had basically given up when 3 years ago he starts having some dreams, Saki boy. And I feel like this is where you just started. You just started moistening your panties reading this stuff.
Yes.
I'm sure.
Yes.
Who was he dreaming of, Zaki boy?
Okay, before I get into this, what am I walking into here? Like, do you hate this? I feel like
what are you talking about?
I feel like you're patronizing the absolute shit out of me right now.
I'm not. I find it amusing how much of a sucker you are for this. I enjoy it, but it's like the world to you, and that's just it makes me smile. It makes me happy for you. No, I don't dislike this at all, to answer your question.
Okay.
I just feel like you really want to talk about it, so I'm going to allow you to talk about it.
I just really like this stuff. It just makes me feel something, okay?
Okay, good. No,
it just makes me be
you.
like, man, that's just such a beautiful love. You know?
Yeah, true.
It really is. So anyway, he paraphrasing here, he talks about these dreams that he starts having.
Mm-hmm.
Dreams that are giving him some hope and something to look forward to while he's in Amarantha's service and the world is burning around him, basically.
Yes.
And he says that in one dream, or like he's getting these glimpses, flashes like this fireplace in an old cabin, like I think he says something about like some of her game, like that she's caught,
that she's hunting or something.
And then finally he sees something a bit more vivid, and he says he saw a human hand, a beautiful human hand, painting flowers on a table.
Mm-hmm.
And he treasured those flashes of that woman. It reminded him that there could be peace in the world. He continued dreaming and hoarding the memories. And I'm kind of skipping around here a little bit, but then fine. he knows that she'll be at Calamni.
Yeah.
He one of the visions or one of the dreams that he has lets him know that like she
is her dreaming or thinking about Calamni or something like that.
Yes. But also like the dreams are more clear. They're not foggy anymore.
True. Because he figures out that it was the wall that was making them foggy.
Correct. Yes. So, he convinces Amarantha, to go, quote, spy on Tamlin to see if anybody's conspiring in order to find Feyre. And she thinks of the first words that he said to her, which were, "There you are. I've been looking for you." And she's like, he wasn't lying at all. And I was like, oh, he has been looking for her. It's so sweet. I love this so much.
Thank you for finding her for me.
Yes. He does also say, again, sorry if I'm jumping around a little bit here, but my notes are all over the place. He thinks that he knew then that she was his mate, but he kept it to himself for fear of like horrible things happening to her since he was prisoner.
Right.
And he says like maybe just this once the cauldron was kind and not cruel by letting him see her. I'm like, that's just so like taking the romantic stuff out of this, like that is also just so like heart-wrenching because of the situation that he's in.
For sure.
Like maybe this is just something good that the world is allowing me to have for just a moment.
The exact quote is, maybe the cauldron had been kind and not cruel for letting me see you just once, a gift for what I was enduring.
It's heartbreaking.
That is heartbreaking stuff. Because his situation is so fucked.
It's so bad. And then we fast forward a little bit, and when he goes back to the Spring Court, he tries to like scare Feyre and kind of like hurt her mind in a way to like push Tamlin to send her back to the human realm.
Yes. He wants her out of there to keep her safe. Because he also had to, like, those 3 fairies that were gonna do bad things to Feyre, like he basically wiped their minds and convinced Amarantha that they were spies, and they got like destroyed and tortured and all that stuff. And like there's this bit here where he talks about how he enjoyed it. He enjoyed their suffering because I knew what they had wanted to do to you, and I knew that it would have paled in comparison to what Amarantha would have done if she'd found you. So yes, he is doing whatever he can to keep her safe, and he thinks the best way to do that is to scare Tamlin and to scare her into leaving.
And then we also learn that the name that Feyre gives, Claire.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That it's his fault. And so when Claire was captured and being tortured, he basically, like, he felt horrible about it.
Right. He just assumed that she made up a name.
Yes.
That it wasn't a real person, yeah.
And so what he did was he broke into her mind and, like, relieved her of pain.
Right.
Didn't kill her, like, she was still being tortured, but, like, made sure that she couldn't feel any pain until it began to get too much, and he, during, like, a torturing session, basically, like, killed her, like killed her mind. So it looked like she died to the torture, and made sure that she didn't feel any pain.
Right.
Oh my God, man. He says, I didn't know you. I didn't even know your name. Oh, hold on. I'm sorry. I think I got ahead. That's at the end. That's when she's getting close to dying. So then he talks about the trials and stuff, and he says, but your final trial came, and when she started torturing you, something snapped in a way I couldn't explain. By the way, did you want to talk about anything trial 1 and 2, like anything in there?
There was one really good thing here
about
the early trial I wanted to point out. I had to stand and watch as the Ator and its cronies beat you. I had to watch the disgust and hatred on your face as you looked at me. Then I learned your name. Hearing you, I figured you would love this. That you would love this one. Hearing you say it, it was like an answer to a question I'd been asking for 500 years.
I have that. Where did I write that?
I don't know. Because this is big. This is important. I decided then and there that I was going to fight, and I would fight dirty and kill and torture and manipulate. But I was going to fight. If there was a shot of freeing us for Amarantha, you were it. I thought that the cauldron had been sending me these dreams to tell me that you would be the one to save us, save my people. So,
dude, that line is a banger.
On, it almost seems like yes, like at Calm 9, all that stuff, it feels like he's searching for his mate, he's searching for her. But then almost here, he's making it sound like she was kind of a means to an end, if I'm being honest. Like he just wants to use her to free his people. Which, hey, fair enough. But I don't know. That seems a little callous.
I don't think.
You think I'm misreading that?
I think you're severely misreading that. Yeah, no.
I don't know. He says, I thought the cauldron had been sending me these dreams to tell me that you would be the one to save us, save my people.
I think he was saying that he thought, like, early on, that's what he thought.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's like, no, like you're my person.
Sure. Okay. Fair enough.
Yeah, man. It's heavy stuff. So
then she gets hurt in the first trial against the worm. And that's how he finds his in. He's like, oh, this is how I can
help.
Get in with her and help. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, when we made that bargain, you were so hateful that I knew I'd done my job well. So we endured it. I made you dress like that so Amarantha wouldn't suspect, and made you drink the wine so you would not remember the nightly horrors in that mountain. And that last night when I found you two in the hall, I was jealous. I was jealous of him and pissed off that he'd used that one shot of being unnoticed, not to get you out, but to be with you, which we talked at length about with
Tamlin.
Emily, right?
Yes.
And fuck Tamlin for that one. I do find it a little bit amusing. No mention of the bone twisting, though. Like, he gives an excuse for why he had her wear the dress and why he made her drink the wine. Why'd you have to twist her bone, though? My God. I guess it was just so she would agree to the deal. But man, did you really have to twist her bone? Like, that was...
He was just trying to show her what he wanted her to do in 3 years. Twist my bone.
In however long.
You gotta put a little twist on
this
it.
To me. Yeah, you do. You gotta, yeah, 100%. 100%.
What else you got? Because a lot of my highlighting is like at the final trial.
Okay.
So if you have anything before then go ahead.
No. The next thing I have is basically when he picks up the knife to kill her. Is that what you're talking about? Or even before that? Like when Amarantha starts to torture her, basically.
Yeah, basically. So here, I'll read what I have.
Okay. Yeah.
But your final trial came, and when she started torturing you, something snapped in a way I couldn't explain. Only that seeing you bleeding and screaming undid me. It broke me at last. And I knew as I picked up that knife to kill her, I knew right then what you were. I knew that you were my mate, and you were in love with another male, and had destroyed yourself to save him, and that I didn't care. If you were going to die, I was going to die with you. I couldn't stop thinking it over and over as you screamed, as I tried to kill her. You were my mate, my mate, my mate. But then she snapped your neck, and tears rolled down his face, and I felt you die. And she says, tears were sliding down my own cheeks now. And this beautiful, wonderful thing that had come into my life, this gift from the cauldron, it was gone. In my desperation, I clung to that bond. Not the bargain. The bargain was nothing. The bargain was like a cobweb. But I grabbed that bond between us and I tugged. I willed you to hold on, to stay with me, because if we could get free, then all 7 of us were there. We could bring you back. And I didn't care if I had to slice into all of their minds to do it. I'd make them save you. His hands were shaking. You freed us with your... Hold on, sorry, I need to move my book over. You'd freed us with your last breath, and my power... I wrapped my power around the bond, the mating bond. I could feel you flickering there, holding on. And she thinks home. Home had been there at the end of the bond. I'd told the bone carver, not Tamlin, not the spring court, but Rhysand.
Wait, so is Rhysand home?
Rhysand is home. Like she says that she felt home at the end of the bond, at the end of the tether.
Right.
And
she just didn't know
she didn't know it was Rhysand.
Yeah, okay.
And I fucking adore that.
No, that's great.
So good, dude.
That's great. That's very him basically like holding on to her through the bond and like willing her to hold on, and her thinking about home and all that is very, very good. I'm not in love with the idea that he influenced the other High Lords to bring her back. I feel like that cheapens that moment a little bit for me. I don't know how you felt about that.
Maybe I misread. I thought that like he was willing to, but did he?
He says he was willing here to do it, and I was like, okay, well, he probably just didn't have to. But then later, I'm pretty sure. Hold on, I'm trying to read through my notes here. I could have swore there was another part where he then basically is like, yeah, I influenced them to do it. He's like, they were all very dumbfounded and probably, weren't going to put up much of a fight against it, but I did.
No, here it is. So Amarantha died, and I spoke to the High Lords mind to mind, convincing them to come forward, to offer that spark of power. None of them disagreed. I think that they were too stunned to think of saying no. It doesn't seem like he like overpowered them. It just seemed that he may have done some convincing, but they didn't. None of them disagreed.
Right. I'm just saying it seemed like this really good triumphant moment where they all come together as fairy high lords for once and do this good thing for who had saved them. And instead it's actually just kind of Rhys pulling the strings behind the scenes. Does that
I don't think it's so much him pulling the strings as much as it's him saying, hey guys, we should probably do this.
And they're just in shock and are like, oh, okay, I guess. Rather than making a conscious decision of like, no, we should do this. This is absolutely
well. This does actually add a little bit of like context though to like, wasn't what interaction did she have where? Well, it must have been with what the fuck is that guy's name?
Lucian's dad.
Like, yeah, she has an interaction with one of the the High Lords, and she can tell that they're like looking at her like, you have my power in you.
Oh, that was our guy Tarkin, wasn't it?
Was it Tarkin?
I think so.
No, but he's not the one that actually gave the power. That was his older brother, right? Or his dad?
No, it was.
No, Tarkin wasn't under the mountain.
Wait. Well, then how was... No, he had to be, at least for a little bit.
He's a new...
I know, but where would the previous one have died if not under Amarantha?
I think they died after Amarantha.
Why would they die after Amarantha?
I don't fucking know.
What could have possibly happened to him aside from Amarantha that killed his predecessor?
I was under the impression that Tarkin specifically was not the one that gave power. I could totally
now that you say that does
that.
sound right, but that doesn't make any logical sense to me thinking about it.
Yeah, I don't know. I could be... Look, dude, we spaced these chapters out way too much.
Yeah, we did.
So I could be misremembering here.
But regardless, it really doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I just, again, I bring that up. It's a nitpick. It's just me being a little bit like, I feel like that does cheapen the really good moment of all the 7 High Lords coming together at the end of the last book and like granting her this new life, because it seems more just like not pulling the strings is maybe a little strong way to put it, but like subtly influencing, being like, hey guys, come on.
I don't think you're wrong, Scott. I just don't like. I know you don't care. I just don't care.
I'm just saying. I call them like I see them. I have to point it out. That's fair enough.
Like, I don't care what these High Lords think.
Okay.
Like that's not like what I'm reading this for.
All right. Well, what happens next? What are you reading it for?
Go
ahead. Sorry.
And I again had to watch as Tamlin held you, kissed you. I wanted to go home to Valaris, but I had to stay to make sure that things were set in motion, that you were all right. So I waited as long as I could, then I sent a tug through the bond, and you came to find me. I almost told you then, but you were so sad and tired, and for once you looked at me like I was worth something. So I promised myself that the next time I saw you, I'd free you of the bargain. Because I was selfish, and I knew that if I let it go then, he'd lock you up and I'd never get to see you again. When I went to leave you, I think transforming you into Fae made the bond lock into a permanent place. I'd known it existed, but it hit me then. It hit me so strong that I panicked. I knew if I'd stayed a second longer, I'd damn the consequences and take you with me. And then you'd hate me forever. And I also love this ending here of his story. I landed at the night court right as Moore was waiting for me, and I was so frantic, so unhinged that I told her everything. I hadn't seen her in 50 years, and my first words to her were, "She's my mate."
That's what I was about to say. I was like, I do love that. He
I
hasn't seen
love that.
poor Morgan in 50 years, and he's just like, "Oh, she's my mate." And Morgan's like, "The fuck are you talking about?" That's great. I love that. I love that. That's phenomenal. And then
it was Rhys all along, man. It was Rhys. That's my boy.
So for 3 months, he tries to convince himself that she was better off without him.
Mm-hmm.
All the things that he had done to make you hate him or make her hate him. But I felt you through the bond. I felt your pain and sadness and loneliness. I heard you were going to marry him, and I told myself you were happy. I should let you be happy even if it killed me. Even if you were my mate, you'd earned that happiness. The day of your wedding, I'd planned to get rip-roaring drunk with Cassian, who had no idea why. But then I felt you again. I felt your panic and despair, and I heard you beg anyone to save you. I lost it. I went into the wedding. I barely remembered who I was supposed to be, the part I was supposed to play. All I could see was you in your stupid wedding dress, so thin and pale, and I wanted to kill him for it. But I had to get you out. I had to call in that bargain to get you away to see if you were all right. So he talks about how it really killed him to send her back when they were like, he had her for a week or whatever, then sent her back. It killed me to know he was sharing your bed. Not just because you were my mate. I knew I was in love with you. The moment I picked up the knife to kill Amarantha. When you finally came here, I decided I wouldn't tell you any of it. I wouldn't let you out of the bargain because your hatred was better than facing the two alternatives. That you felt nothing for me or that you might feel something similar. And if I let myself love you, you would be taken from me. So that's why basically it just comes down to fear. He did not tell her because he was
afraid
of losing her.
Yeah.
Which is rough.
It's so wild because like our pea brains, like, I don't know, like, did you ever have, well, you were homeschooled, so maybe not.
That's so uncalled for. The unnecessary shots are crazy.
Did you ever have like a friend, like a friend girl who you were like, man, I think I'm in love with my friend girl?
Yes.
And you're just afraid to like approach that?
Of course.
So thinking that and then picturing like this man being literally the hottest person that has ever existed, super rich, dude is packing, by the way. like him being afraid. Come on, that's wild.
He is packing. I love that that's like the only thing you focus on, by the way. You just cannot shut up about like how hot he is.
It's obviously not about
horse cock he's packing.
But also like it's not just how hot he is. Like he is a romantic person. Like he takes care of people and loves like fully, I feel like.
Yes.
So
no, that's definitely true. Like I have my qualms with Rhys, as our audience well know, and I call some of the things he does into question. But goddamn, if he's not a romantic, then I don't know what is. He talks about when he went to go get her, when Tamlin locked her up. He was like, if Tamlin was there, I would have killed him. But he was not there that day. He talks about how he broke a bunch of rules when he went to get her. Let's see, I'm trying to find. Amryn said if I got you to admit that we were mates, it would keep any trouble from our door, but I couldn't force the bond on you. I couldn't try to seduce you into accepting the bond either, even if it gave Tamlin license to wage war on me. You had been through so much already. I didn't want you to think that everything I did was to win you, just to keep my lands safe. So, again, you talk about this a lot with Rhys, is like, giving her the choice, not trying to force like ultimatums, upon her. But I couldn't stop being around you and loving you and wanting you. I still can't stay away. And that's kind of when he's kind of let it all out at this point. He's said his piece. And now he's waiting on her. And what happens, Saki boy?
And she slowly I turned around to where the soup was now boiling, and I ladled it into a bowl. He watched every step I took to the table, the steaming bowl in my hands. I stopped before him, staring down, and I said, "You love me?" Rhys nodded. And I wondered if love was too weak a word for what he felt, what he'd done for me, and what I felt for him. I set the bowl down before him, then eat. And then she spread her legs and said, "Then eat."
You ruined the moment.
I know, but I could not pass that up.
Do the joke. That was that. Listen. I'm not going to sit here for a moment and tell you that the end of this chapter didn't make old automaton Scotty feel something, because it did. It made me smile, made me get a little tiny bit misty-eyed. I love how dude just unloads fucking 50 years, no, longer than that, a century's worth of trauma and bullshit and just feelings for like half an hour. And she walks over to him and is just like, "But you love me?" And it's like, that's the one fucking thing she cares about after all this. And I just think that's very sweet. And it is very sweet. It's a good moment. It's a very good moment.
It's so like raw. Like sometimes you just need to hear that, man.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like they
both had to, I have griped at these two for like 30 chapters now about just like fucking just do it. Just, do the damn thing.
Yes.
And they've both known they were into each other for so long, but you're right. There is a very stark difference between thinking and feeling something and just saying, having it said to you out loud,
Yes. Like I think what I was going to say is like details help add context. And when you're in a situation where you're like, I need to know everything, tell me everything, like sure, that's all there, but like sometimes at the end of it all, like just knowing that you're loved, like is really what you were trying to get at through all of that.
Yeah.
And I mean, all the details are obviously just as much for Feyre as they are for the reader, and so it was great to experience that. But I mean, you said it, like that's all she cared about.
Mm-hmm.
That he truly, genuinely loves her.
Yeah. And that's what's important, and that's what it boils down to. Okay. I have something I want to ask you, because I don't know if you've heard about this or what, like the process of writing these books were. How much of this, if you know, did Sarah J. Maas have planned? Or was this like improvised? Did she like write the first book as its own thing, and then when it became super popular, she had to like kind of go back and improvise this Rhys backstory to line up with the first book? Or do you think all along was planned?
I think that when an author sets out to write a romance, like the "it was always you" type of thing,
mm-hmm.
is probably an area that they're going to start mapping.
Sure.
So, like, I mean, maybe not everything, and maybe some things had to click into place. But I would venture to say that the majority of the Rhys stuff, like, was thought of beforehand.
Okay.
Or at least it reads that way to me. Like,
I
to
agree.
me, it doesn't feel like she's having to make things work.
No, I agree. I do feel like it was, again, like it feels well planned. I was just curious if you had heard anything about like the behind scenes, like, you know, Sarah J. Maas saying anything about how much of this was. Because I think about like the thing that that's brought up a lot with like Eiichiro Oda, the author of One Piece, is like the way that he makes even the smallest things like click into pace and work like super well, like 600 chapters later, is wild. And it's like he's either the greatest planner in the history of mankind, or he's the greatest like improviser in the history of mankind. And I think probably the real truth is, you know, a little bit of both, you know, somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Like, yes, I do think he plans things extremely meticulously, but also like when he finds a way that he can, you know, improvise and adapt something to work.
I also like doing a little bit of like short story writing and creative writing that I've done. Like, there really is an art to purposeful loose ends,
for sure,
so that you can pull on those later. So like, yeah, I think you're right. I think it is a little column A, a little column B. Like,
and I just think I just wanted to bring it up because I was like, I was interested if you had heard anything, because I find that's an interesting specific. Just thought exercise of like, how much of this did she, you know, have planned out? Because yeah, I think it fits. Everything fits perfectly for like, you know, stuff that was happening in the first book where everyone, us included, our attention is on the Tamlin Feyre romance, and intentionally so, obviously. And meanwhile, behind the scenes, Rhys has been like there from day one, like 3 years before we met Feyre, he's having dreams about her, you know, and is like looking for her. And it all works. And I think it just clicks together super well. So I was just curious about that. That's the end of chapter 54. And then
that was a fucking banger.
I figured that would be a long one. Chapter 55 is the Zach. I was a little confused actually, because I thought the title of this section was the House of Mist. Shouldn't it be the House of Jizz? Like, this is just the House of Jizz and Cum.
Dude,
this is like that scene in South Park where Randy's like, "Oh, there was a spooky ghost. This is ectoplasm." They are just covering this poor cabin. Whatever magic like cleaning lady has to clean this house, brother. I feel for her.
Whatever magic blue chew my boy is on.
Oh my god!
Like the stamina from this man.
Rhys is literally an animal. He keeps talking about like, oh, from when we were beasts. I'm like, brother, what are you talking about? You are still an actual beast.
Yes.
And I've got the cock size to match, apparently.
Yeah, apparently. That. Okay. Hold on. What does my note here mean? My note says.
I forgot I wrote down. I really apparently I read these chapters very late at night. By the way, and I was tired. I made sure to write down this joke. Apparently, I thought it was a real banger. You know the House of Black and White from Game of Thrones? This is just the House of
White. The House of White. Yeah, but there's all the paint everywhere too. So
God, that is I love that I made sure to take a note to tell that joke because it's such a banger. Oh my god.
I did have one more sappy thing before the sex stuff.
Okay, there is one more sappy section here for sure. Hit me.
I did really like this. So he's eating the soup. And I just picture the Adam Driver meme that good soup.
Yes, definitely. I thought it would have been really funny is if she she talked about her not being able to cook and just like even heating soup, she's fucked it up somehow. Like the soup burns his tongue or something like that, you
know? So he sets down his spoon and he says, "Aren't you going to say anything?" Which, man, that moment, like that time in between, like you pour your fucking heart out to somebody and you're just on red, or they're just quiet for a moment. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's the worst.
I am aware. Yeah, been there.
Aren't you going to say anything? He said at last. I was going to tell you what I decided the moment I saw you on the threshold. And he twists in his seat. And now? And she says, in her head, aware of every breath, every moment, I sat in his lap. His hands gently braced my hips, and I studied his face. And now
he gonna be bracing them hips, all right.
Yeah. And she's gonna be bracing for impact. And now I want you to know, Rhysand, that I love you.
Oh, you said the full name. Ooh.
Yeah, dude.
Dude.
Yeah, dude.
Zach goes, dude.
Hey, that's a thing for me. I have a full name, Zach.
Yeah, and I
Zach.
use it. Yeah, absolutely.
And I use it.
No,
Scott,
I use it.
Hey, you guys heard it here. Scott is a good lover.
Hell yeah.
Scott uses my full
Let
name.
the record show.
And let the boy watch. I love you, and I want you to know. His lips trembled, and I brushed away the tear that escaped down his cheek. I want you to know, I whispered, that I am broken and healing, but every piece of my heart belongs to you, and I am honored to be your mate. His arms wrapped around me, and he pressed his forehead to my shoulder, his body shaking. I stroked a hand through his silken hair. I love you, I said again. I hadn't dared say the words in my head, and I endured every second of it over again so I could find you. And if war comes, we'll face it together. I won't let them take you away. I'm sorry, hold on. I won't let them take me from you, and I won't let them take you from me either. Rhys looked up, his face gleaming with tears. He went still as I leaned in, kissing away one tear, then the other, as he had once kissed away mine.
Yeah, that ruined the moment a little bit for me because I was like,
because you hated that.
Wow, you did. Don't tell me you liked it. You did not like it, bitch.
I didn't like it in the moment, but now I love it.
I said my note was, and now they're licking and eating each other's tears again. I really don't think this is a thing as much as Sarah J. Maas wants it to be. Listen, you've been with your wife Amanda for a long time. Junior high school, right? Like
high school,
a long time. Have you ever been so in love that you were like, let me eat them tears?
It's usually not tears at the end of that sentence.
That was amazing. But thank you for proving my point. I don't think this is a thing. Listen, maybe I just need to get out there more and eat some tears. Okay, so what follows is a series of sexy events. I'm sure you got some quotes.
I actually don't. My notes for this chapter are the quotes that I just had, and then it says they fuck, then they shower, then they fuck some more. And that is my notes for this chapter.
All right, in that case, I just have a section here in pink, by the way, so it stands out. You know why.
Nice. I'm highlighting in pink, Scott. You'll be happy to know.
Hell yeah. This is just a section entitled Sexy Times Highlights, and these are just the quotes that I wanted to call out that mostly made me laugh because I think it's great. I'm sure,
because we're 14-year-old boys.
Well, yes, but like also there's something about it amusing to me is like I'm sure the audience for these books, are eating this shit up and they are loving it and, doing whatever to it. And that's fine. I think that's great. We have said many times we're not here to yuck anyone's yum. Me, This shit cracks me up, and I love it. So I do want to call out the things that I loved especially and found kind of amazing. So the first one, these are all direct quotes, and maybe I'll do a dramatic reading of them.
Okay.
So here we go.
I'm here for it.
He hardened against me, and I groaned into his mouth. The sound snapped whatever leash he'd had on himself, and Rhysand scooped me up in a smooth movement before laying me flat on the table amongst and on top of all the paints. I love this the sound snapping his leash. Woo, that's hot.
That is pretty hot.
He let out a low laugh, and I watched breathless as he took that hand and traced a circle around my breast, then lower until he... That's what fucking kills me. Until he painted a downward arrow beneath my belly button. This is Rhys talking now.
Uh-huh.
Lest you forget where this is going to end. Dude literally drew an arrow down and is like, I'm gonna get in that badge. Lest you forget, I'm gonna get them all in that badge. Oh my god, that one might be my favorite. Okay, next one. The first lick of Rhysand's tongue set me on fire. I want you splayed out on the table like my own personal feast. He growled his approval at my moan, my taste, and unleashed himself on me entirely. We talked about the growly boys. I missed our growly boys. Last one. This I think is toward the end after they're done with most of their fucking. You have no idea how many things I've thought up when it comes to you. That's Rhysand speaking. Feyre replies, I remember mention of a wall. His laugh was a sensual promise. Next time, Feyre, I'll fuck you against the wall. Hard enough. And she responds, hard enough to make the pictures fall off. Rhys barked a laugh. Show me again what you can do with that wicked mouth. I obliged him.
Yo.
It's so good.
Damn.
I love it.
I gotta be honest, man. Feyre here in this chapter. I'm telling you, man. Like, what? I think I'd be super in love with Feyre.
Oh yeah, well, the things she does with that filthy mouth of hers. You know, I can see what you're getting at.
Wait, hold on. Wait, we can't skip over the fact that like she's glowing.
Oh, right. Yeah. That is the thing that happened.
She's like quite literally glowing. And then they give us a crash course.
He's darkness incarnate and she's like glowing like the sun. Yeah, that does happen.
Yeah. From the day court, right? Or from...
Yeah. She asked that and he's like, he doesn't even care. He's just like he's just like growling and fucking her. Yeah.
Can you fucking sit back down on this thing?
I don't give a shit. I'm gonna get it all up in that badge. Let me draw an arrow to where I'm headed.
That's
he has to GPS her. This is where I'm going. Hey, just FYI.
Fucking map quest on that bitch.
Dude, shouts to MapQuest. Who remembers MapQuest? I'm headed south. I'm going down south, baby.
Dude, shouts to
shouts.
The fucking pioneers, dude.
Dude, they were. I can remember printing out directions on MapQuest to take with you in the car, man.
Every time we'd go on a vacation, dude.
Hell
it's
yeah.
like a fucking book.
Yeah. Bro, mad shouts to MapQuest. I don't know how we lived before GPS sometimes. Well, I guess we used MapQuest is the answer.
Dude.
That is so fucking funny. Shouts.
Fucking MapQuest on that shit, dude. Ooh.
He's going downtown.
Oh, that's so funny, dude.
Okay. There are a few other, I feel like, sweet things here. I have a few more
Okay.
bits from this chapter. Oh, right. Rhys is talking about, I think I fell in love with you the moment I realized you were cleaving those bones to make a trap for the worm. Or maybe the moment you flipped me off for mocking you. It reminded me so much of Cassian. For the first time in decades, I wanted to laugh. Immediately, I'm like, brother, that ain't it. That's not the line. After all you're doing here, that ain't it, brother. And Feyre,
you are putting in some work.
yeah,
and
you were putting in some work with that hog, and then you say that. Feyre reprimands him immediately. She says, "You fell in love with me," I said flatly, "because I reminded you of your friend." And he's just like, "Oh, silly. I fell in love with you, smart ass, because you were one of us. You weren't afraid of me. Ha ha ha. Good recovery. Terrible line, Rhys. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Let's see. Anything else you have from this chapter, Zach?
No.
Oh, they kind of discuss what is going to come next a little bit here. He's like, oh, we can go back to Valeris and have the bond verified by a priestess, officially declared mated, blah, blah, have a big party. And he's telling her all this, like, oh, this is what it'll mean when we're mates, blah, blah. And at the end, she's finally like, I actually meant like with the queens. Like, what's next?
The human realm, the fucking King of Highburn.
Yeah, saving the realm from the King of Highburn and all that.
He's like, oh.
Yeah, he's like, oh. And she's like, but hey, listen, I'm glad to know I have so many options where our relationship stands. And that you'll do whatever I want. I must have you wrapped completely around my finger. Sounds like he had you wrapped around several places, my girl.
I like that the pregnancy thing gets brought up.
True. They do have the preggers talk.
And I mean, I'm a big proponent of I just love that he's like, whatever you want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
like,
you've said that a few times.
Well,
Rhys.
But especially about the
Sure.
the pregnancy thing, and how he's like, you're not here to bear my children,
right? Because
like,
she says something to the effect of like, I'm expected to bear heirs, and he's like, you're not expected to do anything.
You're not expected to do anything. Right. If one day you will honor me with that, I would be very happy. And I'm just so into Rhys after that conversation. Like I also love that she's like, hey, I'm not taking that tonic. And he's like, well, like, would you like to?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm a big like women's rights person. I just love that he's like, it's your choice. Yeah. So I was like, yep, Rhys, I fucking love you.
And she decides she will. She's gonna go on the pill for a while because she wants to live with him alone for a while.
Yeah.
By the way,
Rhys should just get a vasectomy. It's easier and it's reversible and there's no side effects.
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
Yeah, dude.
By the way, they're leaving tomorrow because the queens are coming in like 3 days.
Oh yeah, and she's like, oh
shit, and she's like, you tell me this now, and he goes, I got sidetracked. I'm like, all right, now you've redeemed yourself.
Yeah.
By the way, there's a bit in here I can't remember where it is. At some point when they're fucking, I'm sure. She describes him tasting like smoke and mist and dew. And I was gonna make a gag about like, oh, he smells like citrus in the sea, but he tastes like smoke and mist and dew. What does he feel like? Blah blah. And I realized I couldn't make a joke because I'm pretty sure she's described Rhys in all 5 senses now, so there's no joke left for me to make, and I'm very sad about that. I think he's the hottest. He looks the hottest alive. He tastes like this. He smells like this. He touches. She's always feeling up his wings. What's the other sense?
And his wings.
Sense. What am I forgetting? Sight,
I don't
taste, smell.
I'm not actually
touch.
listening to you.
Thanks, bud. Anything
Sound.
else? Sound. Oh, he's got a sexy voice. Surely she's described his sexy voice. That face. You're like, fucking, of course he does.
Dude, are you kidding me? He's a growly and purry boy.
He's a growler. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else from chapter 55? We should wrap this up.
I've told you time and time again that my notes are literally they fuck, they shower, then they fuck.
I would have expected more fucking notes from you. Not fucking notes, but fucking notes.
It was difficult because I was listening to the sex and I was just like,
wait, what?
Yes.
You were listening to this on audiobook.
Yes.
And you were pleasuring yourself.
And you were. No, I'm not listening to the dramatized version, although I kind of wish I was.
I wish I was. Yeah, for sure.
Maybe you and I should record a dramatized version.
We should. I mean, I did my own dramatic reading. I want to hear him say the line, lest you forget where this is going to end. That's got to be my favorite line of the whole book. All right. So chapter 56, they went out to the camp, and Cassian is immediately like, oh, hey, looks like you didn't wear Feyre out enough. I'll give her an old tumble in the hay, huh? And he's
and then they fight.
And then they fight and fuck each other, probably. Cassian is intentionally antagonizing him because Rhys is a beast, apparently, and he needs to blow off some steam or something. I don't know. I kind of like, this might be the first time I kind of like Cassian in this moment. Because he's just like immediately
it was pretty funny.
Shit. It was pretty funny.
We learned that prior to this, we learned that that Rhys is going to be a little bit rabid, a little bit feral.
Yes, he is.
Both with like wanting to fuck, but also like extremely protective of his mate.
Listen, there's a lot of placing that blame on Rhys, but Feyre is not innocent in this rabidness, by the way. Because let me read you another quote. Because after an hour of Cassian and Rhys beating the shit out of each other, Rhys and Feyre have to bang again one more time before they can leave. Bloody and filthy. One look at my mate was all it took for me to crave the smell and feel of him. Cassian and Moore instantly found somewhere else to be, and Rhys didn't bother taking my clothes all the way off before he bent me over the kitchen table and made me moan his name loud enough for the Illyrian still circling high above to hear. And I'm like, God,
so they're just
damn
going in.
They are. There's just no stopping these two. And again, I want to point out this is not all him, because he sees him bloody and filthy and is like, I have to have you inside me this second.
Yes,
which is great.
She's the woman we all want.
Truly. Here's where I had the thought. I am literally like the kid trying to convince his mom, like, no, I'm watching this for the plot, Mom. Like, I don't care about the naked chicks in it. This is me literally watching a porn and being like, no, I actually am here for the
I only
plot,
watched
though.
the first 4 minutes of the porn because I don't really care about the
Yes. Like, I actually am here for the plot. All this fucking, I'm a little concerned now that it's going to get in the way of my plot, Zachary.
Yeah, like, does her sink get fixed or not?
That's literally me. I'm like, you know what? I don't know if I trust this guy's credentials as a plumber. Can I see some verification? I don't think.
Is there a manager I can
is there a manager? I think he meant something different when he said he was going to clean her pipes. That's literally me. I'm like, where is the plot in my porn, please?
Oh man.
Oh my God, that's so funny. What's next?
That guy doesn't look like he knows how to fix a U-bend.
Rhys knows how to fix a U-bend for sure.
All right, what else you got? More, by the way. Welcome to the family, Feyre.
Hell yeah. And Feyre is so happy.
Your brother.
Mm-hmm.
And then they walk in that room. I love this.
Yeah.
And all of them are seated. And she's like, it's kind of weird. They're all just like sitting there watching us.
It's kind of weird.
That's kind of weird. What are they doing?
Kind of weird. Are they here to fix my pipes?
Her pipes are gonna need some fixing. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, no, true. I hear he's hung like a moose.
Like a moose? God damn. So when they walk in, they all stand up, and Amren says, "We will serve and protect."
Well, they all say it together, don't they?
Well, yeah, but Amren's the one that like leads it. And then there's this kind of like moment of like awkward silence, and Feyre's like, "I don't know if like Rhys just didn't prep me for what I'm supposed to do here, or if he just wanted me to like go off the cuff." But she's like, "Thank you guys. I just want to be friends."
Right. The power of friendship is really all I need.
And there, I think more is like, well, hey, we are going to be your friends, but we will also serve and protect.
More always knows the right thing to say.
And I just adored this. I like it a lot. I like the immediate acceptance because, like they've always accepted her, but also like there's a level of respect and formality that they're giving for the situation.
Yes. Except Amren, who's the cheeky little bastard that I love so much, because Rhys is immediately like, "Now that we've settled that, can we please eat? I'm famished." Amren opened her mouth with a wry smile, but he added, "Do not say what you were going to say, Amren." He literally gives her the bite your tongue, Amren. Bite it. Rhys gave Cashin a sharp look. Both of them were still bruised, but healing fast. "Unless you want to have it out on the roof." And Amren's like, "You're not worth the trouble." Then she gasses up Feyre. She tells her, "I heard you grew fangs in the forest and killed some hibern beasts. Good for you, girl." Morgan is like, "She saved his sorry ass," is more like it. Poor little Rhys got himself in a bind. And I think, oh yeah, this is Feyre being cheeky. She says he does need unusual amounts of coddling, which Asriel finds so funny he chokes on his wine. Great stuff.
Wait, hold on. You may have said this and I was distracted. Does Asriel say like they have like a little moment, like a joke or something?
Yeah, so Asriel chokes on his wine at her joke, and then they just look at each other, and Rhys like gets fucking pissed at Asriel because they locked eyes for 2 seconds, and he's like,
and Feyre's like, oh.
Yeah, Rhys immediately wants to fight and fuck and fucking fight.
Yeah, in that order.
Yeah, true.
Yeah, man.
That's all I got.
That's all I got, man. That's the end of the fucking road for this batch.
So will this porn get in the way of my plot, Zach? That's what I need to know.
I mean, it could. It could a little bit.
Maybe they didn't get it all out of their system. Who am I kidding?
Fuck no.
They are just getting it into their system. What did you think of this section as a whole? I know you loved it. You can tell me though.
Oh, I really I ate this up.
Like someone ate someone else.
Yes. I ate this up like
I love how he kept his promise on that, because that was one of our favorite lines from however many batches ago, where he's like, "I will have you splayed out on the table like a feast for me to devour." And he does it. So good for him.
And he eats up.
Our boy is eating. Was that one of the slangs? No, that's it.
No.
More common slang. I can't remember.
No, he ate, yeah.
He ate, it was. Okay, see, yeah. It's probably not different meaning.
No, I mean, but he did eat.
He ate. Oh, he absolutely ate.
Any final thoughts here?
No, I mean, there's like, I mean, we literally only dealt with one thing. We dealt with the issue of the mate and them two getting together in this section. Like, literally nothing else happened. And I'm not mad or upset.
Sounds like you're complaining.
I'm not complaining.
Okay.
I'm just
All
saying, I feel like we went thoroughly over everything that entailed. Like I said, the end of chapter 54 definitely got me. I enjoyed it. I laughed a lot during chapter 55. I was like, oh. So yeah, it was a good section. It was totally good.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I think it's going to be a little difficult to do that thing that we do. But
yeah, true, because there's only, yeah.
I mean, it's just them and then the inner court or the inner circle. But.
Well, we'll figure it out. I think where we last left off, this is who be courting, by the way. Feyre was in the first spot. Rhys was in the second spot. Lucian was third. That's right. Lucian was in that last section. Morgan at fourth, and the upside down cereal was in fifth. Still not interested in fixing that. Okay. So Feyre and Rhys have to be number 1 and 2. Are you good with them staying in the order they're in?
I like Feyre more as a character, but I do think that like Rhys's story is what I loved. So I think I might, for this one, I might put Rhys up top.
I like Feyre a lot, though.
He also dicks her down, brother.
He does, but it's not. She's holding her own. Like she uses
I'm just
that
saying
filthy
she
mouth.
comes a lot more than he comes.
Zach kept count. Zach literally kept count of the
I mean,
comes.
dude, like,
yeah.
man.
So isn't that a win for her? Like,
no, it's a win for dude. That is a Rhys fucks.
yeah,
man.
he
Come on.
does. And who benefits most from that? It's Feyre.
Yeah, but it's his skill. Look, man, Rhys ran chapter 54.
All
like
right.
that was.
I will agree to that because that was kind of the main dramatic chapter of this section. So I will give you that was like his backstory, his whole story. We'll put Rhys at 1, Feyre at 2. Morgan has to go third. I mean, like,
yes, Morgan is
no
absolutely
question.
third.
Morgan absolutely has to go third. And then it's probably like Amryn getting a couple mentions. Is there anyone we're forgetting?
I mean, it's either Amryn, Cassian, or Azriel.
That's like literally the only characters in this section, huh? What about like
the paint?
I was gonna say
the soup.
The soup or the paint. Feyre's cooking skills. What about the magic house for cleaning up after all their bullshit? Dude, I don't. Okay. Paint is gross, by the way. Getting paint on you sucks.
It does, and I
I don't know about the whole
that.
fucking in the paint bit.
No.
That shit don't come off
It's
easy.
It's not even body paint.
No, that's the thing.
It's
Just paint. Maybe this is some kind of magic fairy paint, though. Like, that shit does like, regular paint does not come off skin easy. You have to scrub that shit. He was doing some scrubbing.
Her fucking carpet burn is going to take the paint right off.
Yeah, true. Are we forgetting anyone?
No, we're not forgetting anybody, dude.
Yeah, you're right. Shouts
like not unless you're considering like flashback information.
Well, yeah, that's what like Amarantha was there, Jurian was there briefly. No, I don't think there was anything.
Tamlin briefly.
Yeah. I don't think there was anything from the flashback that would make sense.
I think I go Amryn and Cassian.
Of course you go Cassian.
Azriel didn't do or say anything in this. Like
he
Cassian
laughed
at least
at
had
Feyre's joke. All
okay,
Cassian
but...
did was okay, all right. I'll shake the cat. I forgot he
the upside down letters is still fucking so funny to me.
Great. He did offer to fuck Feyre just to piss Rhys off, so that's pretty funny. So I'll give it up. All right. That is this week's Who Be Courtin'. Rhys is in first place, Feyre in second, Morgan in third, Amryn in fourth, and Cassian's old upside down ass in fifth. Zachy boy, is there anything else before we get the hell out of here?
I think we're ready to get the hell out of here, bud.
Cool.
Hell yeah. Thank you all so much for listening and watching. We appreciate you guys for sticking around. This
Hell
is
yeah.
was this a long one?
It's not that bad. Under 2 hours.
It's not that bad. Yeah, under 2 hours. Yeah, we love you guys so much. If you would like to follow or support us on the social medias, you can do that on Instagram at we're not that podcast anymore, at Mythkeepers.
Great recovery, by the way.
At Mythkeepers, or on TikTok at Mythkeepers as well. Or you can go to our website, mythkeeperspod.com.
It's on the fucking screen.
It's
if you're
on the
watching
screen.
YouTube. Zach is struggling mightily.
I'm struggling. It's late. We love you guys. That's how I feel.
That's the sound that Feyre made.
Dude.
When he was dicking her down.
All right. We love you guys. We'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.